A lot of people want to lose weight. A lot of people struggle to do that. They want to lose fat or weight in general, right? Um, Everyone knows that apart from exercise, one of the most crucial parts of this piece of this puzzle in losing weight in general or losing fat in general is how you eat your food, right? You cannot outdo a bad diet with exercise or other habits as simple as that. Today, we're going to talk about some food habits which are very important for you to, which will help you or aid you in the process of losing weight and also controlling your blood glucose spikes, right? So, we're going to talk about something called as meal sequencing. And this is kind of very important from an Indian context, considering the way we eat our food, right? Particularly whether you're a South Indian or a North Indian, more South Indian, I would say. So, how you eat your food, that is the order of eating the items that you have on your plate, has more impact than what you actually think. And I thought this information is not widely known or circulated. I also watched YouTube, read a few research papers to come to know about it. And I thought I'll share this with people who would be interested in it. Okay, cool. Here we go. What do we mean by sequencing? So, of course, your food, your plate has a lot of items. You have vegetables, you have roti, let's say, rice, eggs, meat, etc., bunch of other items, which means you have a combination of carbs, protein, and fat, ideally, right? That's the order here. Now, there is a defined, or let's say, research has been done to show the order of eating these items has a profound impact, which will help you achieve these objectives. Prevent overeating, curb your cravings, control your blood glucose spike by up to 70-75 percentage, enhance your satiety or feeling full. Of course, when you don't feel full, you feel like overeating. And it also tends to slow down the speed at which you are eating. And by the time you come towards the end of the meal, you already feel quite full, right? So, what is this order or meal sequence that ideally we should follow? Number one, start with fiber, that is vegetables and salads. Here, pick green vegetables or good vegetables that you like. Have them first because fiber takes a little bit time to digest. Again, it kind of slows your gastric emptying and creates a kind of a good layer in such a way that it helps with reducing the glucose absorption. So start with vegetables. It's been shown in science that it lowers the blood sugar spikes post meal, helps with satiety, and supports good gut health. Of course, you would have heard Dr. Pal talk a lot about having fiber and vegetables and fruits being the most important source of getting your fibers. And the reason why I'm not talking much about fruits here is fruits tend to have fructose or sugar forms coming in, which is not going to help a lot. Which that's why you have to switch to vegetables considering the meal sequencing, right? Number two, after you had your vegetables and salads are equivalent, then you go to protein and fats. Now, protein and fats again, protein in general helps you with satiety and feeling full, right? And it also slows down your digestion. And it's been shown that it helps with regulating the hunger hormones like ghrelin, etc. And of course, it helps with muscle repairs and some hormonal balance as well. So after your fibers, you vegetables, you shift protein and fats. Whether you're animal based or plant based, lot of options here: fish, eggs, paneer, chicken, yogurt, tofu, etc. Plant based lentils, chickpeas, peanuts, almonds, and good nuts, which has a mix of protein and good fats. Right? Those are the things that you should try and finish off next. Last one, then you shift to your carbs. What have you been having? Whether rice items or starchy items, breads, etc. You can shift and finish to carbs. One thing you have to remember in this order. So what will happen is by the time you come to carbs, you would have had enough of vegetables and let's say good protein and fats, but so you end up eating less amount of carbohydrates towards the end. Not that you don't have, but you can have pretty less. Right? That's the bottom line. Typically, most meals in India tend to be should be around 450 to 550 grams in general, right? If you look at the calorie intake of a person per day, recommended to be about let's say 2000 calories, and you split into three meals, looking at roughly 550 to let's say 650 calories per meal. Now every every gram roughly translates to 1.2 calories depending on what you eat. Of course, if you're looking at fried items and stuff, it just multiplies. But the things like rice and other items, typically eggs, etc., you typically have this 1 to 1.2, 1.3 kind of a ratio. So if you stick to around 400 to 500 grams, which means you have your 100 grams to 120 grams of vegetables in general in one single meal, I'm talking about lunch. And then you go to, let's say, 100 to 150 grams of proteins, and then you have another 100 to 150 grams of carbs. You're looking at easily completing about 400 to 450 grams with a good meal. What you should remember in this while you practice, or let's say continue doing this order, is not to have any sugary drink in between, because it's not then going to help, kind of defeats the entire purpose of doing this exercise. Okay, cool. So remember this order: whenever you eat vegetables, that is for fiber, protein, and good fats, and then you come to carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates, or simple ones, whatever you're having. At least this way you end up enjoying the meal or the items that you want, but also control the blood glucose spike, and also you eat less, will aid you with your waistline management, right? Some of the things you might think, okay, what are the studies that are done which substantiates this fact? So I'm just going to quote a couple of studies and then we'll wrap it up. Scientific literature on meal sequencing. There is a cornell medicine study, cornell medicine study done in 2015, which basically says specifically glucose levels were reduced by approximately 29% at 30 minutes, 37% at 60 minutes, and 17% at 120 minutes post meal when the carbs were eaten last. So, this is one thing. There's another study in 2015, Diabetes Care, found that people who ate vegetables and protein first had lower hunger ratings and smaller insulin spikes, leading to fewer cravings and less calorie intake over time. So, this kind of proves the fact that you'll end up taking less calories, which will aid with weight management and also reduced fat and feeling full, right? You won't feel hungry and you will have reduced cravings. Another study, UCLA Health Insights. UCLA Health found that starting meals with vegetables and protein before consuming simple carbohydrate resulted in lower post meal blood glucose and insulin levels. This effect was observed in studies where participants consumed the same meal components in different sequences, which means obviously they would have tested with people trying one sequence versus the other sequence. There is another study, Ohio State University finding, which gives a very similar result. With pre-diabetes, people with pre-diabetes indicated that eating protein and non-starchy vegetables before carbohydrates led to more stable and lower blood glucose response compared to consuming carbohydrates first. Yeah, so that's the last study, MDPI study on eating speed and food order. Research published in Nutrients, a magazine or a publication, found that consuming vegetables first, regardless of eating speed, ameliorated postprandial blood glucose and insulin concentrations. This suggests that the order of food intake can have beneficial effects even if the meal is consumed very, very quickly. So, these are some studies. Just want to make sure that whatever I'm saying is backed by some research paper. Now, remember this: whenever you eat food, enjoy it, but at the same time, if you're eating a, let's say, sugary or a carbohydrate for focused meal, not focused meal, of course, carbohydrate is part of your meal, then try and eat it towards the end, save it for the last. Start with vegetables. That is, gives you a lot of fiber. Vegetables are the only items that gives you fiber. So you have to start with that, and then you shift to proteins, fats, and then end with carbohydrates. And then you can thank me later when you feel full, and then you've lost a little bit of fat from your waistline. I'll see you soon with some other topic. Cheers. If you like the content, you know what needs to be done. Thank you so much.